The Quantum Leap night at the races started with a visit from the Super Cup Stock Car Series, running their season-opening Twin 40s in remembrance of Mike Potter, with Kingsport regular Lexi Arnold in her debut for the series, starting the number 05 from the inside pole, before the caution flew after the 35 of Mitch Gibson spun off the nose of Britt Nelson's number 80. The restart saw Evelyn take the lead, clearing Lexi Arnold and pulling away, while Mitch Gibson made up his lost ground around Showtime Mike in the number 2. Not one to give up, Lexi Arnold would pressure Ebeling for the lead over multiple laps, navigating lap traffic before spitting out in turn 2, an incident that would leave fluid on the track, the race under red flag, and the 05 in the pits. The single file restart saw Eveling, Gibson, and Nelson running 1-2-3, with an aggressive Gibson making a failed bump for the lead, giving Eveling a clear path to his 4th Kingsport Speedway Super Cup victory. The Quality Heat and Air Mod 4s kicked off with Rocky Yates and Chris Ambergy fighting side by side with Ryan Griffin and Billy Duty close behind, but Ambergy would cross over on the next lap to challenge Yates, only for his momentum to be stalled by lap traffic multiple times. The leaders would continue to navigate lap traffic, with Ambergy intimidating the entire way before Kevin Kenner joined the mix, drawing a 3-wide move for second before following Ambergy around the number 5 of Yates. Yates would continue to fight for position until a wreck in turn 1 ended his night, putting us under caution. The restart has Ambergy and Canner battling side by side for multiple laps before a spin by the number 48 of Ryan Griffin would put us under another caution. Ambergy cleared Canner on the next restart, but the slightest slip up from the number 17 allowed the number 3 to close and get alongside in turn 3. This side-by-side would last multiple laps, with Ambergy holding strong on the outside before the number 3 cleared him out of turn 2. Pulling away, lap traffic once again became a factor, but Cantor would sail the sea of cars to win again in 2025. The RCR late model saw Keith Helton take the lead early over Derek Lane and Zeke Shell, who would quickly drop to third to a side-by-side battle with Brad Housewright. At the front, Derek Lane was chasing Keith when a black flag was displayed to the 29 due to the car dragging the ground, but a spin by Zeke Shell would put us under caution, giving the number 29 a much-needed but short-lived break. On the restart, the 4 were 2x2 side-by-side as they raced down the backstretch, with Derek Lane fighting hard against the sparking number 29. Black flag would be displayed once again to Keith Helton, who would stop being scored after failing to acknowledge the penalty, handing the lead to Derek Lane in the 28. The red flag would soon fly after an incident involving Lexi Arnold and Zeke Shell in turn 2. This is when Keith Helton learned of his penalty and decided to voice his displeasure by pulling into victory lane, and after having a word with the officials and parking in the pits, would later march to the tower and receive clarification from race control. When the race finally restarted, Derek Lane easily took the lead over Brad Housewright and Alex Miller, who would pass Bruce Crumley's number 33 for third. Housewright would challenge Lane for the lead, only to drop back to a charging Alex Miller in a race that saw Derek Lane take his first victory of 2025. The JB Towing Pier 4 started with Dallas Morlock leading over Stephen Watts, number 05, and Terry Welch in the 34, who would find himself defending against the 38 of Chad Jeffers and the 11 of Kenny Absher, who would slide through turn 3. At the front, Watts fought Morlock as the second Watlow racing car, Frank Walmack, slid through turns 1 and 2 while battling Kenny Absher for 5th. But the number 09 would use the outside to move around Absher as the leaders battled and navigated lap traffic. allowing Watts to overtake and make a 3-wide split to pull away from Dallas Morlock and win a hard-fought race. The Herds among Street Stocks had a synchronized start with Joey Owens taking the lead on the outside as Exit 50 Motorsports' Daniel McMurray fought with Kirby Gobble in the number 5 and Jamie Meadows number 11 for third. But at the front, Austin found a line under Owens but had to check up for lap traffic before having another go. Owens would hold his own outside, but the field would bunch up for a restart after a spin from the number 27. Owens would easily take the lead as Austin would get caught in a multi-car battle for second, but the grizzled veteran would take control, pull away, and chase Owens for the lead while the number 22 of Joey Sykes moved into fourth around Kirby Gobble. The caution would later fly for debris, setting us up for another restart. Austin, choosing the inside, restarted third, but to his own favor as Joey Owens slid up in turn 1, opening the door for the 25, who would clear Owens and eventually pull away. Later in the race, Joey Sykes caught Owens, but would fail to get by him and eventually drop back to an eager Daniel McMurray in the 0 question mark, who would try passing Sykes multiple times, but to no avail in a race that saw Rob Austin take the checkered flag. The Herds of Mowing Superstreet had North Carolina native Ashton Higgins visiting the concrete jungle and quickly taking control of the race after starting on the pole. Meanwhile, a hard-charging Tristan Barnes would only need a few laps to work his way outside the top 3 after starting last, as Al Miller in the number 4 chased Austin Walters for third. However, in turn 1, Al Miller would spin, putting us under caution. The restart had Ashton Higgins leapfrogging into the lead once again as Tristan Barnes pressured Walters for second. While that battle played out, Al Miller would get to work, making up his lost ground. Back to the battle for second, Austin Walters left the door for Tristan Barnes to slide underneath, but it would take multiple laps for the 15 to complete the pass. Ashton Higgins, continuing to pace the race, would make a mistake in turn 1, bringing Tristan Barnes within striking distance. After a second slide in the first corner, that gave Barnes an easy way around, but a well-timed caution for the number 12 as Al Miller spun again kept Higgins in the lead for the restart. It wouldn't be long before Barnes would be on his tail, easily moving by him in turn 1. Higgins would drop back to third before pulling his car into the pits with mechanical issues, leaving little pressure for Tristan Barnes, but another caution on lap 34 would bunch the field up once more. With Barnes on the inside and Walters on the outside, it was a side-by-side battle with Barnes taking point. A very hungry Walters would fight back, but eventually spin out in turn 2. The restart had Barnes on the inside and Miller on the outside, but as Barnes sailed away, Miller would spin in a cloud of smoke. With Walters back on the outside and only a handful of laps remaining, the number 5 would turn up the aggression, diving under the number 15 to make contact and lock their fenders, leaving mangled pieces hanging off the number 5. Walters would fall back to Al Miller, who would spin on the last lap, much to the crowd's attention. But it was a very animated Tristan Barnes who pulled into victory lane, coming from last to win the race. The second twin for the Super Cup Stock Car Series had chaos unfold on lap 0, with Brent Nelson driving his number 80 too deep into the corner, making contact with the 35 of Mitch Gibson, spinning him around. The restart would put defending race winner Ben Ebeling in the lead, with Mitch Gibson quickly making up lost ground. Gibson would later fight Ebeling for the first half of the race, trying a failed bump and run on the number 44 in turn 4. But Gibson would later pit due to exhaust issues, putting the number 44 on a lap of his own and eventually giving Ebeling his 5th win at the Concrete Jungle. Here are your full results for all divisions, and as always, thank you for supporting your local short track and Kingsport Speedway.